Live, Laugh, Larceny discusses true petty crimes that may be disturbing to some.
Or could be easy listening to all you psychopaths out there.
All stories are based on actual events, but details may vary.
Listener discretion is not advised.
Live,
Laugh.
Larceny. Welcome to Live, Laugh, Larceny. Give a man a fish, and you feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, and he'll have to touch those yucky worms. This is Trevin.
And I'm Amanda. Yucky, gross.
Ew, that was always the worst part about going fishing.
Oh my God.
Or you might have to touch a sloppy fish.
I actually think that we might go fishing on my family trip coming up, and it might be the girls' first time experiencing this. So
Ooh.
It might be a dreadful dilemma in the future, guys.
Might be.
So speaking of Trevin, what is your dilemma this week?
This week, I am getting back from True Crime Podcast Festival. We've talked a little bit about that. We might do a more extended recap for the patrons.
Yes.
I may feel kind of far away if you follow us on socials, but we had to make some moves to get episodes out. So I went all by myself.
I know. I'm proud of you.
Very frightening. I was very scared. Had a nice time. I met Joey and Ellen from I Think Not, and Lucy and Amanda from Wine and Crime, and all of my old friends. I got to hang out with Josh Hallmark a lot more, who I've known, but I got to know him a lot better, which was great.
Yeah, we love Josh.
Yeah, my boy Justin from Generation Y, and also our friend Ashley from That's So Fucked Up.
Yes.
Of course.
You guys finally got to meet in person. I'm jealous.
And can I just say, she killed it. She had like a big wall of like vines with the That's So Fucked Up in like the pink glow lights. You can take a picture underneath it.
Yeah.
Like we talked about when we did our table. I said pizzazz. She brought the pizzazz.
Oh, good for her.
Yeah.
Pizzazz is important in today's age.
It really is. It was a really nice time. Had a good time. But I did have a dilemma that just made me feel a little self-conscious.
What was it?
So I had a hotel room by myself.
Yeah.
Room service, you know, they come in and they make your bed and do all this stuff. I've got a Ziploc baggie that's got all my contact stuff in it. It's got, you know, Q-tips, blah, 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 whatever. And I'm just kind of sloppy, got it all over the counter. So the room service comes in and, of course, folds all my towels, makes the toilet paper into a triangle and does all that stuff.
Important shit.
Important shit. So I've got my stuff laid all over the place, the contact stuff. And when I come back, they had laid out a white towel and my contact stuff and everything was just nice and neat and lined up. Every single thing I brought with me has been organized, lined up, put on a nice towel. And I looked and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm missing something. I had a bag that had all the stuff in it. And in the corner of the counter, away from everything else, was the bag. And then my toenail fungus stuff just hidden behind everything. It was like...
Not another toe fungus dilemma. Trevin, no.
And I'm not trying to get into the detail about that, but I thought this person thought your Listerine, all these other things should be spread out and displayed nicely for if you need it. But your nasty toe thing, that goes in the corner with the trash bag. I had to go searching for it, and then I realized that even they said this should not be visible.
Wow. I'm sorry, that actually is quite shameful. I would feel very ashamed if I came back to a room where they were like, and then they put that over there. What the hell?
That's exactly what it felt like. I could tell that they were shaming me for like, ew, that's disgusting.
And your toe fungus needs to go hide in the corner,
Yep.
you nasty ass.
Even 600 miles from my wife, I was still getting toe shamed.
What? Toe shaming is a real problem that many of us face today.
Yeah, especially in this house.
Also, I know you briefly touched on Patreon.
Oh, yeah.
I did want to just make an announcement on the audio as well. We have finally another movie night on our Patreon that isn't 3 years old. It's very recent. We watched Midsommar. It is a hell of a time.
It is a great time. And our friend Molly joined us.
And she is funny as hell. And I told her, girl, I don't know if you know this, but there are video clips of you being like, a commune. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh God, I was hoping that the video was really dark and they couldn't see me. And it was a whole thing. It's very funny. I think that all of our feedback is informative and it's just a hoot. So check it out. So I'm going to jump into my dreadful dilemma. And this is something that is a reoccurring dreadful dilemma for me as well.
Oh, no.
But mine is years and years and years old. And I wanted, before this episode came out, I was going to go back in and find the episode I talked about this originally on. And I wanted to talk about an email that we received about it from the original dreadful dilemma. But I couldn't find that either. So here we are, guys. I talked about this, like I said, years back, how I love salsa and how it's my favorite food.
Oh, yeah, and the throat clearing.
Yes.
I remember that email, too.
Yes. Okay. So you know it exists. So I talked about how salsa is my favorite food, chips and salsa. If I could pick one food in the entire world that I had to eat every single day, I would pick chips and salsa. It's just the best. But my throat has other feelings, and I get these things called aphthous ulcers. I don't even know if I'm saying that right, but I talked about it years and years ago before I was even pregnant with Winnie. This was so long ago. And we had a listener actually write in saying that he experienced the exact same thing. And I wanted to give him a shout out. But anywho, fast forward to now, we are about to go on a family trip to Arkansas. We're going out to the lake. And before we went, my mom was like, it's that time of year again. It's time to make a big old fresh batch of salsa.
Oh, yeah, you were talking about making some and giving it to me.
Yes. Oh, I still need to bring you some. Well, I hope that this information doesn't scare you because we made a hot batch and we made a mild batch. Well, I know my limits, and so I only have been eating the mild. However, because I'm eating so much of it, it's still irritating my throat.
Oh, you can't slow down.
I haven't got an ulcer this time because I've learned a lot of things about them, how you can take vitamin B. And for me, if you use the most powerful mouthwash you can find and you gurgle with it often, you won't get them. That's what's helped for me. So if anyone else out there has this problem, just get some really, really potent mouthwash and gurgle a lot.
So if it's already feeling a little like bothered and sensitive, wouldn't a really powerful mouthwash just irritate it more?
No,
burn it up?
It burns it up and makes them go away, in my opinion. So that's what I would recommend. But I am struggling because Trevin, I ate the homemade salsa for like 3 days in a row. Noticed my throat was starting to hurt and I had to stop eating it for a day. I only lasted a day. I ate it again the day after. I'm just really having a hard time quitting, okay?
You and Emily and your chips and salsa, like we had to like really wean her off of it. And now she'll slip back into it sometimes.
You're acting like it's crack cocaine. She'll still slip into those nasty chips and salsa habits.
Well, it's every single day. That's a habit.
Then I need to be in Chips and Salsa Anonymous as well. So, Trevin, this week we are going to be sharing top fives.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Top 5. So I am going first this week, and this is going to be a top 5, Trevin, that I think you, of all people, will hopefully appreciate.
All right.
So I'm going to be talking about the places in the world with the highest human life expectancy.
I'm going there.
I know, that's what I was just about to say.
Where am I going to live?
Is Trevin moving immediately? Probably so, because the U.S. is not on the top 5. I hate to break it to you.
I wonder why. Is it stress? Is it because we just love fear? I don't know. Is it the poor diets?
Is it the pollution?
Yeah.
There's so many things. Do you have any guesses of places at all? I mean, this is worldwide.
I feel like ocean's got to have a lot to do with a lot of them.
Ocean?
Like it just anywhere with ocean, like ocean beach, like with beach.
Okay,
With access
Any
to
place
ocean.
with ocean.
Yeah. Oh, that's a nice place. Do you have ocean here?
Does ocean exist here? Because I need to know. Okay, that's a good guess. I like that.
I'll say Iceland, Greenland, or something like that. Oh, and you know what else? I'll say New Zealand.
Okay, all good guesses, Trevin. Well, let's see if any of them are on the list, shall we?
Sure.
I got great information from worldometers.info demographics/life expectancy. Worldometers was very informative. Not only did it give me all the statistics, but they had pie charts and graphs and all sorts of things. So I'm sure if you want to find any other statistics, that's a great site. So let's start with number 5, shall we?
We shall.
Number 5 is an island country and city-state in maritime Southeast Asia, and that is Singapore. And these are numbers with male and female just combined. Because I could have done it by male, I could have done it by female. I'm like, I'm just going to do a combined gender, like just a rough estimate.
Yeah.
So Singapore, their average life expectancy is 84.27 years old.
Not bad. And they do have ocean.
Yes. Okay. Number 4 is a mountainous Central European country, and that is Switzerland.
Oh.
It's not Iceland or Greenland, but it's Switzerland. It has a land on it, so I'll give that to you, okay? Their average life expectancy is 84.38 years. So just a little bit higher than Singapore. Actually, a lot of them aren't that far off from each other. So that's
I can't imagine there'd be a gigantic jump like, oh, and this one's 95.
Yeah, totally. So number 3 is a country in East Asia, and that is Japan with an average life of 84.95 years.
I feel like their diet probably plays a part in that. But they do a lot of walking too, huh?
You know, I wanted to do more research and find out, like, what's their diet like there? Is there beach? Is there ocean?
Is there ocean? Well, isn't Japan an island?
What are they surrounded by? Like, does pollution play a part? Does their work life play a part? But I did not get that deep into it, guys. I wish I did. Maybe ocean has a lot to do. Number 2 is Macau. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It is an autonomous region on the south coast of China. So another coastal place.
Has ocean.
Ocean. And for our final number 1 place with the highest human life expectancy is a special administrative region of the People's Republic of China, and that is Hong Kong.
Oh, cool.
And their number is 85.83 years. Hong Kong, really, that was not even a guess before I looked up these numbers. But yeah, apparently Hong Kong is where it's at.
Dang. Wow. Okay. I actually don't know that much about Hong Kong at all.
I know. I don't either. And like I said, I wish I kind of did know a little bit more. If any listeners are from any of these areas, how is everyone around you living so damn long? Please write us.
Is there a fountain of youth somewhere?
We gotta know. All of them were in the average range of 84 to 85 with just decimals of differences. Do you want me to tell you where the U.S. fell on this list?
Oh, God.
What number do you think we're at?
74.
Okay, we're not that low, but we were number 47 on the list with an average life expectancy of 79.74.
Dang. So a whole 5-year difference.
I mean,
basically.
that's quite a bit different. Yeah. It goes from 85, almost 86 to going down to 79. Isn't that nuts?
Yeah.
Wild. Well, are you going to be moving anytime soon to Hong Kong, Trevin?
Well, if I want to get a leg up on this long life, I better. Here's a little inside baseball for anybody who listens to the show. Last week's episode that you guys got was actually recorded before the one we did with 3 spooked girls.
Right.
So we kind of do an Indiana Jones thing where the episodes aren't actually in order this time because chronologically, that episode that came out last week, we did quite a while ago. The reason why I say this is because I want to get back to the rainbow parties conversation.
Oh my God.
So in that episode, I had talked to you about rainbow parties and I had said, oh, there was a bunch of these sort of things that we do with kids and that we've had. And then I couldn't think of any of them.
Oh, okay. Yes.
So I want to give you my personal top 5 moral panics about kids. I guess. It's my specific one.
This isn't an article. This
is not an article.
Coming straight from the brain of Trevin.
I was having a hard time thinking of those different little moral panics that I remember that my parents were always afraid of and stuff. What a drag, because like you don't know what it's like for being a kid, but then the news would say rainbow parties are happening. I will state my sources on where I'm getting information from, but this is my top 5 because, you know, obviously major moral panics is like the satanic panic and stuff like that. I'm not going to talk about that. I'm keeping it more of the stuff that I know is just dumb.
Okay.
So for number 5 is one that wasn't actually for us when we were kids, but the Tide Pod Challenge.
Oh, God.
That was a big moral panic about just this thing that really wasn't even happening. So coming from thenewstatesman.com, only 86 teens ate Tide Pods. So why did the world erupt in a moral panic? Basically, they just go on to say that it all started from a guy named Tommy Craze on YouTube who started saying he was going to eat actual bleach for a YouTube video. And I'm pretty sure it was like faked or something. And I think somebody had just seen the video and then it sort of became this like, oh no, it's happening. And then because they drew the negative attention to it, then the challenge came out to where kids made the joke about it to do it. And even a lot of kids would just kind of touch it to their lips, but sometimes it would dissolve into their mouth already, like just trying to fake it. So people were doing dumb stuff because of it. It's sort of that whole argument, like, would the Joker exist without Batman?
Right. If I'm not mistaken, the pods themselves didn't exist when we were growing up, right?
Correct.
It was just the detergent. I don't think they came in the pods. I think that just became a big fear because they're like, what? Kids are eating these things like candy?
And then the kids just want to be ironic and they do start eating them like candy.
Yep.
So yeah, only 86 calls were made to poison control over that time.
Wow.
I didn't see anything about death, so I'm pretty sure it's all fine. It's just 86 people actually did it.
Damn, that's much lower than I thought.
Mm-hmm. Number 4 is another one that wasn't our time, but I remember it drove me nuts and I hated it. The Momo Challenge.
This sounds familiar.
I don't know. I may have talked about it once on the show before, but I hated it.
Wasn't that a scary YouTube thing?
I'm just going to come from Wikipedia on this one. But yes, the Momo Challenge was a scary YouTube thing. The Momo Challenge was a hoax and an internet urban legend that was rumored to spread through social media and other outlets. It was reported that children and adolescents were harassed by a user named Momo to perform a series of dangerous tasks, including violent attacks, self-harm, and that kind of stuff.
Okay, yeah, this is ringing a bell now.
Despite claims that the phenomenon had reached worldwide proportions in July 2018, the number of actual complaints was relatively small, and many law enforcement agencies have not been able to confirm that anyone was harmed as a direct result of it.
Good.
It ended up being a sculpture made by the Link Factory, which I guess is a Japanese special effects company. It was a creepy little picture, and I actually thought the sculpture was interesting and kind of cool, but it drove me nuts. It's a creepy, weird face with chicken legs.
Yep, I remember you showing me that.
And it made me so mad because I could not turn on anything without people being afraid of it. I'm like, this isn't happening. Number 3 is one that I think you can probably have more input on. Sex bracelets.
Oh, that was a thing.
Yeah, you remember those things?
Oh, that was totally a thing.
I don't think I need to have like a real definition, but you want to say what?
Yes. So when I was in middle school, and I don't even know where these bracelets came from. Did we just get packs of them at Walmart?
I think they were just stylish. A lot of more alternative girls would just cover their wrists in them.
Yes, we all wore these bracelets, and they were these little thin plastic multicolored bracelets.
Mm-hmm.
And then there became this thing that if you were wearing a certain color, it meant that you had gotten to a certain point sexually. I remember like red and black at our school was like, oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you were wearing a red bracelet, you had had sex. If you were wearing a black bracelet, you had done anal.
Oh my.
And then there were ones that were like, you had a threesome if you wore one color, or just these really, really advanced things for middle school children.
Mm-hmm.
I even bought into it. There were a couple times where I was like, did she do anal? Like,
Yeah.
she's got a lot of those black bracelets on. Yeah, I think it was just a weird thing that kids just made up.
As the story goes, coming from today.com,
Okay.
they say the main moral panic was actually that if you snap somebody's bracelet, they would have to do that thing.
Oh, I I forgot about that part of it.
But from my memory of it, it's the same as you. It was pretty much more of like an indicator.
Yeah, I remember it being more of an indicator, but now that you're saying that, I do remember boys coming around and trying to break some of the bracelets.
I wonder where those boys are today.
Probably not anywhere good.
It says, break someone's orange bracelet or purple in some cases and you get a kiss. Red, a lap dance. Blue was oral sex. And black was intercourse.
Oh, shit. Okay. Ours were a little different, but somewhat close.
I mean, every region's probably different, like playing drinking games.
Yes. But that one was real in the sense that I remember it and I experienced it, but like none of us were really doing all those things.
No, and it wasn't like those boys going and snapping bracelets were not rewarded.
No. If they broke our bracelet, we would just like punch them in the face or tell our teacher. Like we weren't going to give them a lap dance.
Yeah, that's silly. I think that is real, but it is probably in the same sense with the Tide Pod thing. Is it probably is something we started doing and using as like a thing because of the moral panic that was already coming around it.
Oh my God, bizarre.
Number 2, we're back to my old tried and true favorite from last week, rainbow parties.
I felt so left out that I did not know about these.
You want an invitation to the party?
You're like, it's not too late.
It's not the pants party. Coming from this Cracked article that I have here, it was a guest that was featured on an Oprah Winfrey show. And they said rainbow parties were this wild oral sex parties that were being held by teenagers all over America. At these orgies, each girl would wear a different shade of lipstick, and as they each serviced a lucky guy in sequence, it'd leave a rainbow of colors on his dong. This story was so widely believed, sex educators across the country started to investigate. Simon & Schuster quickly published a young adult novel, imaginatively entitled Rainbow Party, to warn of the non-existent danger. I guess they said that the book actually ends with the rainbow party not actually happening. They turned out to be completely untrue. According to the New York Times, sex educators couldn't find any evidence of even one rainbow party having ever taken place. Teens were aware of the slang, but no one had ever been to an actual rainbow party. And that's remarkable because it just sounds so totally plausible and not like something a 15-year-old boy thought up.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry, but I wasn't like, okay, girls, gather round. Roy G. Biv, who's getting red, orange, yellow, green, blue. Is there an indigo? Is there an indigo lipstick in this imaginary land of BJs and colorful lips? Like, come on, guys. We were just playing spin the bottle. We were not doing artwork on dongs with our mouths, okay?
Mm-hmm. So for number 1, I want to give an old favorite of mine coming from the Midwest country.
Ooh.
And I'm curious if you've ever heard of this.
Okay.
Jenkem. Did you ever hear the fear of jenkem?
I don't think so. Do tell.
So from this Wikipedia article, jenkem is an inhalant and hallucinogen created from fermented human waste. In the mid-90s, it was reported to be a popular street drug created by placing feces and urine in a bottle or a bucket, sealing it with a balloon or lid respectively, and leaving it to ferment in the sun. Afterwards, they would inhale the gases generated.
Okay. I'm sorry. Nobody's doing that.
Just huff and poop.
No, like they're going to just sniff a Sharpie like a normal teenager.
Yeah, this Cracked article that I also have here said that it was created by a guy on a message board who went by the name Pickwick. I don't know why. He claimed to have tried it and made it, and they called it jenkem, and he said it originated from Africa, was what he had said. Like, oh, guys, you got to try this new thing. A county sheriff's office in Collier County heard about it, and then they just posted this thing that it was a popular drug in American schools. So then it was just getting out. And I had a bunch of kids in my country school that were like, oh my God, you hear all these kids are doing it? There were these pothead kids in school. It's like, shit, I don't know. If weekend gets crazy enough, I might try some jenkem. So it was just like this big joke that went around all the time. It was proven to have never been done. And the picture that the guy posted on the thing actually ended up being a mixture of flour, water, beer, and Nutella. Just looked like a nasty old poopy.
God.
The moral panic was so bad. There were reports where they would have parents smell their kids' breath when they came home to make sure it didn't smell like shit.
Okay. We've gone too far, folks. We've gone too far.
Yes.
I've never heard of that one either. But you had.
Oh, I had, yes.
I'm curious to see if any of our listeners have also heard of that. And that's a Midwestern thing. I mean, it has to do with poop, so I guess.
Well, it's all over the place, but I just remember the Midwesterners, we believed it was real.
Damn.
In high school, I believed it was real. I just believed it was for crazier people out there that were far more adventurous.
You know, there were so many things going on in our era of growing up that really people should have been concerned about, but not this.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, guys.
They just love the fear.
Well, you know what won't scare you?
These ads.
These ads! We are back, and I have a story to tell.
Oh, I am so ready. You know, that week off from stories, as much as the hard work is,
Yes.
I did miss it.
I totally agree. So this is a recent, very, very recent news story. And I'm not going to lie, it's one of those petty crimes that really surprised me when I saw it because it wasn't a crime that I've ever considered. It wasn't a crime that keeps me up at night that I'm like, oh, what if this crime happens? It makes sense once I tell it, but it wasn't a common crime.
But it'll keep you up at night now that you've heard of it?
Sorry, guys. If I have to be up at night thinking about these things, so do you. So without any other introduction, here we go. When is the last time you wrote a handwritten letter to be mailed? I'm talking about the full act of putting pen to paper, your heart on your sleeve, and your tongue on nasty envelope adhesive. Snail mail isn't a lame thing of the past. Billions of letters are still sent and delivered each year. These include get well soon cards,
Enjoy your new kidney.
love letters,
P.S. I can't wait to bang.
and even the occasional blackmail note.
Get me my money by Dawn, Gertrude. You're banned from bingo night.
No matter the contents of these personalized parcels, it is still a dignified form of communication. The stamp may cost more than a text message, and there's always a threat of experiencing a paper cut. But to many, it remains worth it. Today's story isn't about a man mailing cat poop to all the jobs who wouldn't hire him, or about the exhilarating feeling of receiving an ominous Scientology pamphlet in the mailbox. Those are accounts we told on other episodes. This story is about how priceless mail can be, and how, if not handled with care, these irreplaceable messages can easily get lost in transit. Fans whirled, and phones continuously rang out over the shuffling of post office employees in Moline, Illinois. It was a hot summer in 2024, but it didn't stop the mail that was pouring in and out of the small building. In charge of the chaotic customer service department was 42-year-old supervisor Justin Brown. Justin rocked a bald head, full beard, and permanent resting bitch face. Yet he wasn't as imposing as he appeared. To his subordinates, he ran a fair operation and was never one to breathe down their necks or lecture anyone. Sure, he was known to take extra long lunch breaks and picked his wedgies in public. These were things his employees accepted over having a strict manager. One of Justin's customer service employees had the unique name of A-Line. The office joked that it fit her perfectly, since every day at 4:30, she would beeline it straight to the post office door.
Peace out, bitches.
But within the hours of 8 to 4:30, A-Line was an observant and hard worker. She held the record for quickest mail sorting in the office and had a unique skill in calming down angry customers on the phone.
I should have received my package of beef jerky days ago.
Sir, I'm gonna need you to breathe in your nose and out your mouth. I can't promise I'll find your package of jerky, but what I can guarantee is that I will try my darndest.
Sorry for being such a jerk about my jerky.
The Moline Post Office was the hub for many local Illinois cities and received countless personal mail each day. These notes and cards range from sharing wonderful news to delivering unfortunate truths. Unknown to the employees, they were surrounded by letters filled with real emotion and thoughtfulness, like this one.
Dear John, I know you're having a tough time being deployed, but I have also been struggling. There's only so much having a body pillow and vibrator can do. So I've started seeing your younger brother. I hope you understand. Maybe once you come back home, we can rekindle things. That is, unless I marry your baby bro before that. I've also sent you a gift card to Applebee's to ease any pain. I know how much you love their wings. Sincerely, Pat.
Or cards filled with congratulations, like this.
Happy graduation, Brad. Even though it took you 4 years longer than expected, we always knew you might be able to finish. Here's some cash. Don't spend it all in one place. Love, Grandpa.
The office even got romantic poetry shuffled through the building.
Roses are red, violets are blue. Every day at your window, I stare and watch you. Do you want to go out in a night or two? Here's some concert tickets, if you aren't scared to.
As the customer service supervisor, Justin knew the weight of the letters held in his office. But lately, he had been acting much more stressed than normal, with an influx of angry callers flooding in. Aileen could handle most situations in the busy post office, but she felt the tension building around her with each phone ring. Normally, finding reasonable explanations for customer complaints was a simple task, but calls about misplaced mail were becoming more and more difficult to solve. It was in the middle of a demanding shift when Aileen answered a call with a particularly anxious customer on the other end.
Moline Post Office. Oh my God! I need your help!
A desperate woman pleaded over the phone.
I mailed out a very well-spoken and sensitive Dear John letter, and my ex never received it. He still thinks we're together, and has no idea I'm now with his brother. Where is my letter?
Aileen tried everything to calm the cheating woman. Yet, after many deep breaths and words of affirmation, she was unable to reassure her.
I apologize, ma'am, for not being able to locate your Dear John letter or calm your nerves. I will pass this information along to my supervisor for further investigation.
Aileen stated as she forwarded the call to her supervisor, Justin's voicemail. It had been years since she had to transfer a call to her superior. Yet, to her dismay, the inconsolable callers continued to flood in.
Moline Post Office.
Oh, hello. My idiot grandson has yet to receive his graduation card from me in the mail, and I just need to know if it's actually lost or if he shouldn't have been allowed to get his diploma.
Moline Post Office.
I sent out probably one of the most vulnerable poems of my generation to a girl that I loved weeks ago. If that letter and my tickets aren't located, I have no choice but to burn your post office to the ground.
Moline Post Office. I'm sorry. Please let me forward your call. Moline Post Office. Moline Post Office. Moline Post Office.
After a long day of complaints and phone calls, Aileen stepped into Justin's office to discuss the unusually high level of upset customers. His door was open, encouraging Aileen to step in and knock on the trim surrounding it.
Hey, boss.
Aileen greeted her superior with politeness. Regardless of her greeting, Justin appeared startled and interrupted.
I didn't see you there,
he said as he quickly closed his desktop screen and scooped up a handful of letters on top his desk. Aileen watched as he then dumped the letters into his personal backpack and turned back to face her. His eyes were bloodshot.
What's up?
Justin asked tensely.
I just wanted to explain why I forwarded so many messages over to you today,
Aileen said with caution.
There seems to be lots of unhappy customers calling in about their missing mail.
Justin's hands twitched nervously at his desk before saying,
I wouldn't worry too much about it. You know how customers can be. Besides, it's 4:31. You should have beelined it out of here by now.
Aileen gave a half-hearted chuckle at her awkward boss and said,
Yeah, you're right. Have a good night.
She left feeling odd about the encounter with her supervisor, but tried to shake it off and have a stress-free evening at home. The following morning, Aileen arrived at the post office for her next shift. However, once she stepped inside, she knew something was off. Employees were gossiping around the coffee machine, while others were glued to their cell phones.
What's wrong?
Aileen asked one of her nosiest coworkers with curiosity.
You are not going to believe what happened to all those missing letters, girlfriend.
On Friday, June 28th of 2024, 42-year-old Justin Brown's home was raided in search of large quantities of missing mail. Justin, at the time, was the customer service supervisor for Moline Post Office, where mail had gone missing from Illinois cities including Geneseo, Moline, East Moline, Milan, Rock Island, and Silvis. Accusations from a witness to police stated that beginning in December of 2023, Justin started stealing mail before it went into the system, taking it home to open. The witness also advised officers that Justin used the stolen cash and gift cards from the mail to support his drug, alcohol, and gambling addictions. It was after these tips that the Davenport police searched the supervisor's home. According to arrest affidavits, officers found 487 stolen envelopes, including greeting cards for weddings, birthdays, graduations, and Father's Day inside Justin's residence, along with a digital scale with methamphetamine residue and a marijuana grinder. None of the mail found appeared to have been scanned or stamped by the post office, meaning it never made it to the mail stream. A quote from the police report states, "Several of these cards contain various different family photographs, messages between grandparents and grandchildren, get well messages, and personal checks. After reading some of the messages contained within some of the greeting cards, it is obvious to your affiant that some of the cards contain cash and gift cards, which were no longer inside the card, including a card that contained empty packaging for a $100 gift card." Justin Brown now faces a felony mail theft charge of ongoing criminal conduct, unlawful activity, a Class B felony, which is punishable upon conviction by a term of up to 25 years in prison. Court records also show that Justin requested a court-appointed counsel, but had not filled out an application for appointment of counsel form, meaning that at the time of this recording, he is self-represented in this matter. Due to this petty parcel theft being so recent, I'm sure there are still many more developments to come. Mailing out thoughtful letters and cards is a really sweet and genuine thing to do. Yet, engaging in this act does come with its downfalls. You could find yourself stuck in a never-ending line at a post office, or end up with carpal tunnel from too much handwriting. And now we know you could even experience the horror of having your personal mail intercepted by a bald mail supervisor with addiction issues. Regardless of how you decide to communicate in the future, whether it be through first class or snail mail, try not to overthink it. Delivered packages or not, nothing is worth going postal.
That's a good ending line.
Thank you. Oh my God. I really struggled to read that final little ending because there was a lot of words that I'm not used to saying as far as the charges go.
Affiant, and then your quote was a run-on sentence like crazy.
Yes, that was a lot, but we got through it. And before we talk about the crime itself, I do want to say and give a shout out to A-Line for being one of our supporters on Patreon and for being on our felony level.
And for being the artist that made that shirt design, the one that wasn't our old one. And there's also a new one.
Oh, yeah. We'll definitely be working with her, I'm sure, more in the future. We really haven't done a lot with our merch, but yes, A-Line, she has an account on Instagram called Kitten McNugget. Follow her. The artwork is phenomenal. One of our merch shirts that I have is her artwork. But yeah, so shout out. If you want to be featured in one of our petty crimes like A-Line was, just follow us on Patreon, guys. Also, I had a lot of fun creating fake letters for this story. None of those letters were actual letters. I just kind of went off the fact that there were a variety of them. I thought, what were some of the funniest cards you could receive in the mail or heartbreaking, and then just made those up. But Justin, though, is his real name, and he was actually, I guess, tipped off by a witness, and that's who A-Line got to play today. So I hope you enjoyed your role.
Thanks for being the hero, A-Line. Before I jump into the crime part, when you were choosing to do a graduation card and a get well soon card, I was like, there has to be a quote or something that's causing you to do this.
Yes. So,
or a report or something.
Yes. All of those different types of cards were, I mean, not a Dear John letter. I just had to do one. Yeah. That one wasn't in there, but...
it would be funny if the article said that. And a Dear John letter.
He had collected Dear John letters with Applebee's gift cards in them. No, I had to connect that one because I wanted to do a Dear John letter just because those are so cringy. But also, I wanted it to have some sort of money in it because he specifically sought out cards and letters that he thought there were going to be gift cards or cash in it. And so I was like, what would a Dear John letter have that was valuable? You know, so I was like, okay, maybe she's
the truth.
Yeah, other than the truth. So I was like, okay, she'll give him an Applebee's gift card. I couldn't think, but he actually targeted handwritten cards, Father's Day cards, get well soon, letters from grandparents. And he had nearly 500 of them in his home when the raid happened.
Yeah, I mean, like the call was coming from inside the house. You're thinking, God, just something got lost in the mail. People are mail thieves. No, this guy was the thief working for him. Like, I kind of saw it coming, but what a weird choice, you know, to be that way. Like, just because we're in our goofy little world, you know, we expect the unexpected. But come on, man. I guess that's the only cool like connection you have with your job.
Yeah, obviously this is all alleged. We don't know if he actually has a gambling issue and all the things, but the witness said that they determined that that's why he was doing it. Is because he had some addictions, wanted to be able to finance it, didn't want to have to pay for it.
And you did it with birthday cards.
And you know what's kind of horrifying? I said this before I said the story, that I've never even considered that if I mailed someone a card, that the supervisor at a post office would be rummaging through it and stealing it. That's just something I've never considered happening before. But what's really scary is that when I was looking further into this, a lot of other supervisors at post offices have done the same thing.
It does make sense when you think about they can intercept it before it gets scanned in, making it not traceable at all. You can always just kind of put the blame back on the person who mailed it every time.
Totally.
You'd be like, oh, you fool, you put it in a trash can, not a mailbox.
Yeah.
Dummy.
There's a lot of different points along the journey that other things could have happened to it. Yeah, I think if it wasn't for the influx of all these people in this area and then somebody tipping off the police, I mean, probably wouldn't have gotten caught because, yeah, a lot of things get lost in the mail.
I mean, it's a very common thing to deal with.
So now we're all going to be afraid.
Wow. Well, I enjoyed that story and all these Justin criminals lately. What's going on?
I know. We all have a Justin, right?
Well, this week I do not have a Justin.
Oh, thank God.
And I also have a very recent crime.
Do you?
Yeah, we're current events in it today. I have a connection in mind, but maybe we can listen out for any better ones or more fun ones.
Okay.
Yeah, from the news, it's recent, and it's fun.
Oh, I can't wait.
So here we go. As we enter our 4th year of exposing the world's darkest crimes, one life-altering subject continues to captivate me. I might label it as a gift that keeps on giving, yet in reality, it is only taken away. With crushed dreams and validated insecurities,
You're ugly.
stepping into the dating world becomes a modern nightmare. It's a vulnerable position to be in. You're lonely, or at least yearning for closeness. And to fill this most intimate of roles, you're turning to a stranger, or ruining a friendship by staying in your comfort zone. It's taken 20 years, but I finally find you fuckable. As you take those initial steps, your heart becomes exposed to a multitude of hurtful elements. So it would be totally understandable to experience cold feet, right? The term cold feet first appeared in 1878 in the English translation of the German novel Seed Time and Harvest. In it, a poker player on a losing streak uses the excuse of cold feet to leave the table before losing it all. Since then, cold feet has been used to describe anyone looking to save themselves from an anxiety-inducing commitment. The high stakes and unknown nature of a given situation are just too much for some, making even the most ridiculous hypotheticals feel possible. Whether you're a listener of this show, a viewer of the nightly news, or you flip through Tinder once, it's easy to see how frightening the dating world is. Plenty of criminals, petty assholes, and guys who fish are waiting for you to enter their realm of transgression. Do you wait for red flags, or does fear lead you to run preemptively? Today, fear seeps into us all, and it starts as an icy crawl across your tootsies. Will you stand the discomfort, or see just how far your cold feet will take you? For one young woman, that fear led her down a path of deception and unexpected consequences. This is her story. The cursor on a computer screen flashes at an empty text box, there for a moment and gone again, in a continuous loop, both keeping place and mocking inactivity. The 3-letter word above the box reflected in the glazed-over eyes of an 18-year-old girl, just wondering who she is.
Who am I?
She murmured. Her words dispersed into an empty room with no one there to answer.
This bio isn't gonna write itself.
She said once more.
And a SpongeBob gif isn't gonna cut it this time.
She scrolled up to see how much of the dating profile she had already completed. All but 2 text fields stayed vacant, the name and age. Sumaya, the 18-year-old with no bio, thought about how she wanted to be perceived in her first online dating profile. For Sumaya, this was a big opportunity. Not only was she, as a young adult, stepping into the big world of online dating, but she was doing so without the label she had carried with her in high school. You see, all the way up until her recent graduation, Sumaya had a bit of a reputation. And I don't mean that in the Taylor Swift sense of wearing a lot of black and using Old English fonts. I mean it in a socially negative way. Throughout her 12-year stint in public school, Sumaya had to live with a nickname given to her by everyone. Sumaya the Liar. The name followed her from first grade all the way up to her graduation just 1 month before.
Congratulations, you fucking liar.
It was difficult to make friends, date, and gain trust from anyone. But the worst part about it all was that it was true. Sumaya was a bit of a nervous liar. Whenever faced with significant stress, she was quick to employ any words necessary to extricate herself. And let's just say her tolerance for stress was akin to that of an elderly female cat. The slightest rearrangement of furniture could set her off. But unlike a smelly stain from old kitty tinkles, the damage from her words couldn't be removed with store-bought solvents. Inconveniences, social interactions, and family dinners often led to tiny fibs and big whoppers from Sumaya. Whether with long-time acquaintances or complete strangers, she always had a big little lie at the ready.
I'm Reese Witherspoon's sister.
But she didn't mean anything by it, something many others didn't understand. The cursor blinking in the blank bio served as a metaphor for the fresh start she could now create. In the anxiety of such a deep question, she considered lying. A white lie about her appearance could lead to more messages, but she also knew she'd never fill the man-sized hole in her life if she didn't meet them in person. Deciding to play it straight, Sumaya answered her profile questions honestly, offering everyone a glimpse into the real her. She took good, but not great photos, admitted to having a dead-end job, and refrained from listing quilting as a hobby, despite her desire to start. It was challenging to look inward and provide an accurate snapshot of herself, but she believed it would all be worth it, for love. With her profile now completed, Sumaya looked back over the text fields that were once daunting and blank. Although unremarkable in nature, she couldn't help but feel accomplished for answering an entire questionnaire as truthfully as possible.
Maybe I don't have to lie to get noticed,
she said to herself, clicking the publish button on her profile. For the next week, that thought proved truer than she ever imagined, as her inbox was flooded with bad pickup lines, unsolicited dick pics, and of course, guys who fish. Each attempted conversation came off raunchier than the one before, with most questions revolving around the underwear she was wearing. One guy even asked if she wanted to split a bag of veggie straws and give reciprocating foot rubs. There were a lot of frogs hopping into her DMs, but she knew honesty would make a prince appear. Scrolling through her inbox, Sumaya organized her messages by creeps, convicts, perverts, and fishermen. Most of these men gave themselves away with the first message, allowing her to label them without opening. However, a new request from a suitor named Matt broke her trance of negativity. 9 times out of 10, an opening message would contain the word boobs. Let me see your boobs. What size are your boobs? Can I pour vegan gravy on your boobs? But the message from Matt didn't use words at all. The preview only stated, you received a GIF from Matt. Expecting to see some chesty Sydney Sweeney clip looping in the chat, she instead saw a cute little video of a humpback whale doing a backflip. "Whale, hello there," the words popped up on the screen, sending a flutter through Sumaya's body.
How did he know that I love bad puns and not being objectified?
She said to herself, clicking on his profile. Out of the safety of her inbox and into Matt's profile, Sumaya was drawn in by the soft demeanor of this stranger. He looked a little sloppy, sporting a haircut with no true direction, and a big lip piercing that seemed to be the source of his personality. But it was the third photo on the set that really drew her in. His squinty eyes looking away from the camera as the pierced side of his lip lifted ever so slightly, and a half smile drenched in bashfulness. This guy seemed like a real sweetie. Matt's profile had even more promise than that one photo that caught Sumaya's eye. He played guitar, had a cute dog, and even mentioned that he subscribed to the highest level of Patreon for a small independent podcast.
How charitable!
She thought to herself, going back to her inbox to reply to Matt. For the rest of the evening, Sumaya and Matt chatted about anything, everything, and nothing. Matt complimented Sumaya's leopard print glasses, while Sumaya asked about his favorite songs to play.
Wonderwall!
It was a fun and flirty time, leading Sumaya to feel safe enough to share her Snapchat username with her new sweet stranger. In the subsequent mornings that followed, Sumaya would wake up from a rough night of sleep only to be energized with happiness every time she opened her phone. No day would start without a "good morning" message, and no evening would end without a "good night." The two flirted back and forth, talking about the things they would do together and the fun they would have if they met.
Kiss emoji.
It was the greatest feeling in the world for Sumaya, until a Friday morning message ruined it. "Good morning, sunshine," the message began. "I know we've only been talking for about a week, but it's been the best week I've had in a really long time. You said last night that you didn't have any Friday night plans, so I'm getting the courage to ask you out on the date we talked about. What do you say? Can I pick you up and take you to your favorite restaurant?" Sumaya felt a sense of excitement and nervousness that could only be followed by diarrhea. On one hand, this was the moment she had been waiting for ever since she saw the whale gif. But on the other, her self-consciousness and fear of what could go wrong made taking the chance feel like a nightmare. Although her gut, butt, and anxiety were sending her a warning, she decided to accept the invite, unwilling to lose this loving feeling. The day went on with Matt sending excited messages, sharing his preparation for the big evening, while Sumaya responded with similar sentiments, freaking out in private. For Sumaya, she knew her perfect image of Matt was liable to downgrade a bit. After all, that's what happens when you curate an image of someone in your head. But she couldn't stand the thought of the same thing happening with Matt's image of her. She was already anxious that she wasn't good enough. But what if this profile was the only thing that made her desirable? Each time she attempted to pick out a dress for the evening, or give herself seductive cat eyeliner,
Meow.
the chant she heard through high school played in her head. The nickname that took a diploma to escape found its way back to her, even in an empty bedroom.
I am not a liar!
She screamed, grabbing her phone to text Matt.
Here's my address. Don't be late.
For a short time, Sumaya rode the motivation caused by her defiant outburst. She completed the sexy cat eye look, picked out a comfortable yet flattering dress, and managed to silence the voices from her past. She swooned at the sight of the cleaned up and confident woman in her mirror.
Hello, you.
But little did she know, her beauty was a house of cards precariously balancing on a text from Matt. The second her phone vibrated on her vanity, she knew everything had changed. "Be there in 10, the message read. With her breath quickening, Sumaya looked back in the mirror, no longer seeing a confident ass kicker in a nice dress, but instead, a liar who was in over her head. There was no way sweetie lip ring Matt was going to see her as anything other than Sumaya the liar. Her cold feet paced around the bedroom, thinking of a quick and effective way to cancel the date. The diarrhea defense felt promising, but having Matt view her as a pooper would be worse than being seen as a liar. Telling the truth also crossed her mind, but a sensitive guy like Matt would probably be quick to offer comfort and make her feel better. Even making something up felt like a bad move. They'd talked nonstop for over a week, sharing every detail of their last 7 days in painstaking detail. There was no way he would buy that other plans had slipped her mind. With the clock still counting down, Sumaya knew inactivity was not an option. Although she had mentally decided to skip the date, she still needed a way to inform Matt while saving face. The shame was too great to show any weakness. Picking up her phone, she swiped past the message from Matt and chose to make a call instead.
North Liberty PD. How may I help you?
The man on the other line answered.
I need help right away.
Sumaya yelled into the receiver.
My abusive ex is on the way to my house, and he's threatening to hurt me.
That's incredibly serious. We will send someone over immediately.
The dispatcher responded.
Yeah, he said when he gets here, he's gonna hit, punch, kick, and stab me.
Sumaya added.
We were already sending police, but with this extra information, I'll tell them to drive a little faster.
And did I mention that I'm pregnant with his baby?
She continued.
Jesus. We'll make sure this sick fuck pays.
The dispatcher assured her. Sumaya kept an eye out her front window until a beat-up 90s sedan pulled up to the sidewalk across from her house. She could see Matt's wild hair and large dark lip ring as he slowly exited the vehicle. Hesitating for a moment, he reached back into the car, only to pull out a bouquet of roses. She clutched her chest, feeling her heart pound, flattered that anyone would bring her flowers. Matt stood next to his car, awkwardly practicing his lines before making his way to the front door.
Hi there.
Sumaya swooned each time her sweetie took a slow step. It was obvious that he was nervous. The fact that she could make a boy act like this was a huge confidence boost. She reveled in this newfound feeling, even beginning to fall in love. The anxiety of the date had completely dissipated. Seeing that Matt was a real person calmed her nerves. He was everything she expected him to be, making her really regret that call she made earlier. The doorbell rang, its chime reaching Sumaya's upstairs bedroom. She pretended Matt was a door-to-door salesman, freezing in place to seem like she wasn't home. Matt stood at the front door, lightly trembling with his own anxiety. He opened his phone, sent Sumaya a text, and checked his hair in the front camera. I think I'm here. I hope I don't have the wrong house, LOL. The text appeared on Sumaya's phone, just a few feet away from where it was sent. Sumaya thought of a sheepish response, but before she could type a word, a police cruiser pulled up.
Freeze!
One gruff officer yelled, stepping out of the car.
We know what you're here to do.
Impress my way to a kiss goodnight? The shy admirer responded meekly.
You're not gonna trick us with any of your lies.
The same cop said, pulling out his handcuffs and walking towards Sumaya's front door.
But I'm a sweetie!
Sumaya watched from slightly parted blinds as the two police officers detained her date.
Hey!
She was so close, she could feel Matt's pathetic grunts vibrate through her thin walls as he cried, confused and in custody. The cruiser pulled away, leaving Sumaya alone in her empty home. She thought about what could have been, how Matt would have wooed her with his awkward bashfulness and sweet demeanor, how they might have split a frozen custard, the laughs and connections they could have shared.
This is the best day of my life.
With a potentially perfect date ruined by her own actions, Sumaya knew she needed to learn from this dating disaster. There was no way Matt would forgive her, so it was time to get back out there. She scrolled through her dating app, seeing her usual options, pervs and fishing enthusiasts. Sumaya sighed, knowing this daunting hell was a prison of her own design.
This can't get any worse.
She muttered, trying to squeeze a conversation out of a new message that simply said, boobs? As her fingers typed a defeated response, the chime on her doorbell once again reached her ears. Her mind immediately went back to her dream scenario. What if Matt realized she was nervous and came to forgive her? Sumaya ran to her front door and threw it open. But instead of the fairy tale return of her lipped ring gentleman, it was the aggressive cop from earlier.
I think you know why I'm here, Miss Thomas.
The stoic law officer spoke.
You're under arrest for making false reports.
Sumaya looked down, hearing the voices of her past echo back. Even away from the opinions of her ex-classmates, she was still Sumaya the liar. On June 16th, 2024, 18-year-old Sumaya Thomas was arrested for making false reports to avoid a first date. According to the affidavit, North Liberty, Iowa police received a call from Miss Thomas, stating that the suitor coming to pick her up was actually an abusive ex who was threatening to cause her physical harm. During the call, Thomas claimed she was pregnant with his baby, had known him for over 2 years, and that he threatened to, quote, hit, punch, kick, and stab her. The unnamed man was detained for over an hour until he proved he had just met Miss Thomas online. Police later returned to her house, where she admitted to calling the police because she, quote, got cold feet about the date. According to the Daily Mail, Sumaya Thomas was arrested and charged with 2 counts of false report of indictable offense to public entity, which is a misdemeanor, and 1 count of false report on a 911 call. As this is a new case, no punishments have been given yet. Per Iowa legislature, quote, for a simple misdemeanor, there shall be a fine of at least $105, but not exceed $850. the court may order imprisonment not to exceed 30 days in lieu of a fine or in addition to a fine. I gotta be honest, I love dating stories. So much of my young adulthood was spent fearing all of the many aspects of dating and relationships. There are countless ways dating can go wrong because there are countless ways people can do wrong. From the terrible things people do just to hurt each other's feelings to committing crimes of various degrees, entering the world of romance can lead to disaster. Whether you're single and trying to meet someone new, a couple looking for a partner for a threesome, or seeking any other arrangement to fill a hole in your life with a stranger, be careful. Some of the worst people can be the best at hiding unsavory personality traits. And if the problem is actually you, maybe try communicating the truth to your date instead of lies to the police. Not only will you save the date embarrassment, but you'll help yourself along the way. Because nothing complicates a dating resume more than a simple misdemeanor.
Sumaya, you are a liar.
On fire. Oh, I should have made a pants on fire joke.
Oh, liar, pants on fire, Sumaya.
Damn.
But we also did have a lot of rhyming things. I know you pointed out to me A-line. It took place in Moline. I made the joke about the B-line. Sumaya the liar. So Matt was your patron, right?
Yes, Matt was a patron of ours. I didn't give a last initial because he didn't give us one, and that's totally fine. No big deal.
Mysterious Matt.
Mysterious Matt and your sweetie lip ring self. Thanks for being a patron, and glad to have you here.
Yes, thank you, thank you.
I don't know anything about what this dude looked like. I made up the whole character. When I looked at the girl, just judging by her mugshot, I just kind of thought about the kind of guy that she would date, and I thought, oh, she'd probably have a sweet little alternative kind of guy with a lip ring. So I kind of went with that whole thing. I don't really know if he was a perfect sweetie, but I mean, he kind of got screwed over, so he gets to be a sweetie in my book. They did say that they had him detained for an hour. No idea how they got him. I'm sure if this was an Adam Sandler movie, he would have been tackled.
All right.
They'd been like, freeze, asshole, and they just would have tackled him. I thought about doing that because I could see where your head was going. You're like, oh, he's going to get fucked up or something. And I was like, okay, I don't want to lean too hard on that and people think that's the truth.
Yeah.
So he did get arrested. He was detained for an hour. He proved it. I guess she deleted a bunch of the text and tried to like cover her tracks a little bit more, but he still had them.
What in the hell?
Yeah, she just got cold feet and was nervous. And isn't that so funny? Another one of those situations of overcorrecting, and it's so much worse than what you were afraid of doing.
Dude, worst case scenario, okay? She went on the date. It was not a fucking match. Maybe she embarrassed herself. Maybe she was farting the whole meal. You know, worst case scenario, right? Like, he hates her, okay? That's fine. They would go home afterwards. Everything would be fine. But because she did this, she has one guy in jail. She's going to be in jail possibly.
And she's at least going to have a record.
And the embarrassment now with this guy, for me, that would be like 10,000 times more embarrassing than farting during a whole meal.
Yeah, now a podcast is making a story making fun of you. Like, your arrest went somewhat viral for me to find you.
Yes.
Way better than being embarrassed in front of one guy.
Oh my God. It is never that uncomfortable that you need to falsify a report to get out of something, guys.
She reminds me of a girl that I used to know from back when I used to work at that convenience store at the time where we caught that shoplifting kid from like episode 2.
Yeah.
There was a girl that I knew. She was a young 18-year-old girl like that, and she didn't have a whole lot of friends. She tried so hard, but she would just kind of do shitty things too. And it was just so hard to love her sometimes, you know? Like, a favorite customer of mine came and gave me a whole plate of cookies. I had a rush and turned around and she ate them all. And I was like,
the fuck?
Yeah, I was like, I wanted to call her so many mean names, but she's like, oh, I hope you're not mad at me. And I'm like, you're weird. And I can tell there's something not right here. But anyway, there was one time where she had gotten a hold of marijuana from somebody, and her and this other friend of hers got super high and then called the police, and we're just like, we're so high and scared. And I'm just like, God, this girl is always just causing a mess.
Holy shit.
So it kind of reminded me of her, which I think is another way I kind of came up with this story. But yeah, isn't that just crazy though? I feel like you can really just see the age in her. You can see the immaturity in the fact that I kind of wrote it in a goofy where it's like, oh yeah, and did I add this? And did I add this? But at the same time, she did offer up all that information. So as silly as I made it sound, I bet the truth probably isn't too far from it.
No joke. I mean, she had to have told it in chunks, right? I'm sure he wasn't like, I'll make sure to make them drive faster now.
Yeah.
But honestly, like, why did she have to go into such detail.
Like she's lucky the guy didn't get tackled or something.
Exactly.
Or tased.
Oh, yeah. I was picturing at least a tasing. So I'm glad that didn't happen.
I forgot to put in the story. She did say when they arrested her also, she said, I only made up the story because I didn't think you guys would send help if I didn't. And that's such a funny thing to dig into and think about. It's like, you're damn right we wouldn't have sent anybody. If you called the police and said, I'm really nervous about this date, not that it really needed to be said because obviously that's probably why she lied. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, the police would not have came for the truth.
Okay, that thought process is batshit wild to me. I'm just picturing her calling 911, right? 911, what's your emergency? I just am having the most cold feet and I cannot. Can you please send an officer over here before my date gets to my home?
I can't tell him that I just don't have what it takes to leave the house.
Wowza.
Yeah.
Homegirl needs some friends. Homegirl needs a therapist. Homegirl needs someone to confide in other than a 911 operator.
For sure.
Oh, God, what a journey. Well, connections, Trevin.
So my connection that I had before I even went into it was that mine came down to one big phone call. Yours had a lot of phone calls. But I mean, how many times do we have to use phone effects and stories? So I didn't want to say that was a super great connection. You did have the little rhyming thing.
Yeah, we did rhyme about crime. Both of our main characters, we actually kind of started out our stories making them seem like just an average person out in a crowd. And then we unveiled their distorted way of thinking slowly. But that's not really the best connection either. I don't know.
No, I will say that we both started the main part of our stories by building the room. I try to swap around on when I do that or not. And you said like whirling fans. And I said a blinking cursor. Like we built the...
That's true.
If we made a movie, this first scene would probably be like the image of a fan zooming into our character.
Yes.
And mine would be the computer screen just flashing.
We don't always do that. Neither of us.
It's something I probably started doing about half a year ago. It's a new technique I've been picking up on, but yeah, we both built the room together.
I like that. I always love a good atmospheric entrance, but yeah, that is a good one. I do think the rhyming one's probably my favorite just because how bizarre.
Yeah, rhyming names. Yeah. I mean, that is true. They weren't just rhymes. They were rhymes that had to do with the name of our character.
It was very bizarre that it happened that way.
I think that is actually a really good connection.
Yeah, I like it. Well, I hope that all of you out there are just having the best week. And remember, no matter the crime, big or small, in the end, we're all doomed.
Doomed to pop that sex bracelet.
Bye.
See ya.
It's normal to be ashamed of foot fungal cream, but it's not normal to not be on our Patreon. Live Laugh Larceny on Patreon for bonus content, movie nights, and ad-free episodes.
And don't huff fermented shit to get high. Follow us on social medias for your entertainment. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, or Threads. Live Laugh Larceny.
And have you ever gotten a first date arrested? If so, send us your petty crime story. livelaughlarceny@gmail.com.
And rate our show the same way you would rate Amanda's hot-ass salsa. 5 smoking stars. Give us 5 stars wherever you review podcasts, Apple, Spotify, or Good Pods. I made this email myself and now I don't have it. Where the fuck did it go?
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Who did I email it to if I didn't email it to myself?
Oh, wait. There is a draft in Live Laugh Larceny.
Okay, that's probably me. Hold
Moral
on.
Panics?
Yep, that's it.
Oh.
I was in the wrong email. Okay.
Yeah, there it is.
Where did it go? It's gone again.
What? Oh, my God. Did I delete it? How do I undo if I did?
Oh, boy.
Oh, hell. Oh, hell.
All right, we're just going to raw dog it.
Oh, no, Trevin, no.
Oh, no.
How do I... Did I delete it when I clicked on it?
I don't know what happened.
It would have had to go to the trash if it was deleted.
Yeah, but it was a draft and not an actual email.
Oh, God. So, no, it wouldn't have.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's the case. Okay.
Oh, Trevin, no.
I think I can still swing this.
Okay.
Without all those notes.
I feel horrible if I did that.